Alrighty, welcome back to Nicholas Comic Corner Classic Non-Classics. This is episode number 1707 and 1601. Yes, this is probably going to be my only video to do tonight because of how late it is. I would probably got a little more done if I had not got off work late. Yeah, I did have a choice, but I had to do some stocking before I left. Yes, and also the fact I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm probably going to go to bed a little early tonight. Yep, so yeah, there's me only one tonight, so I'll save my interviews for tomorrow. Yes, Shaman King is one of them. Saved for tomorrow, despite the fact this episode came almost a week ago. I'm doing it tomorrow. Yeah, I know it's kind of a little close, but I cannot help it. Okay? Alright, got two trades here. First up, we have the final trade. Paul Levitz run for Dr. Fate. Yep. Yeah. Now, weirdly enough, these issues came out like normally that these kind of books basically would just, because it came out during DCU, that they would have basically just, just ended it right here, like as soon as DCU started. For some strange reason, I do not know why this is. I thought this was kind of weird, to say the least. Yes. Now, why would I say that? Well, for some reason, DC kept this book going into DC Rebirth. Yes, it was by far the only ongoing series that started during DCU that managed to last for this period of time. It's quite shocking the fact it did. Now, still the same artist, Sonny Liu. The artwork got a little better, basically. Love these covers. I kind of wish they did this interior artist. Nope. Mostly put, now, by the way, that's Tony Harris. Yes, Tony Harris does this really good cover. Yes, I met Tony Harris, Oscar person. This is also the same guy who did the covers for the James Robinson Starman series, which is awesome. I do recommend checking it out. Interesting, though, to throw him in here. In the case of Kent Nelson, the original Dr. Fate, he is only in here just for a few issues in here. And that's it. Yep, that's the thing with him. And you're thinking, really? Yes, really. Yes. Now, the reason why he's not here very long is because basically he has to make it. He has to go keep popping up in the pages of Blue Beetle. Yes, Blue Beetle gets to appear in that same period of time as this. Now, we do have Kent, where he basically is also Dr. Fate as well. And they fight some monsters together, and then mostly kind of wrap up with having the current Kent Nelson, Casa, or just accept the whole Dr. Fate role. And that's where the series ends. But here's the weird thing about this guy. He doesn't appear again for 2 years. He doesn't pop up again until, get this, the opening story arc of Justice League Dark Volume 2. That is the next time he shows up. Well, apparently he dies and then he comes back. Yeah, and then he becomes the actual Dr. Fate in the book itself. Excuse me, yes. Plus, you gotta love this particular, pose of the two Dr. Fates, the original and his great nephew. I like the writing here. Paul Levitz does an absolute great job with it. Not really a big fan of the artwork. I think that's the reason why a lot of people got turned off by it. But some people probably continue reading it because they like Paul. Probably because Paul Levitz does a great job writing this. Yes, I'm going to give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on the book? Just a really good book. Except that, for me personally, not really a big fan of the artwork. I think that they probably should have picked a better artist. Who would I have picked, basically, as better artist than Sonny Liu? Tony Harris. I'm sure he would have done a great job with this book. But it's also kind of weird, though. Aside from Kent Nelson, aside from the main character and Kent Nelson, there is nobody from the regular DC comic universe who pops up in this book. I mean, like, nobody. Not even any villains. I mean, you think Dr. Fate. Like, what usually bad guy you think of when you think of Dr. Fate? By the way, he doesn't have many villains. No, I would have thrown maybe Lord of Chaos. You probably think, would he pop in this book? No. No, he didn't. What about Watoon? Who's basically, when I see a picture, he kind of looks like, could be basically DC's version of, I think it was, Baramordo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mandur, my running merciless. He might have been something basically. He might have a character they could throw in here, or anybody. But honestly, they don't. Yes, for some reason they don't really do anything with this character at all. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, in case you're curious, though, is there any other like Doctor Fate trades per se? Yes, there is a couple of them. There was this time from a series when Hector Hall was, I think he did have basically a feature. I think it was him or, oh yeah, it must have been Kent V. Nelson, the great nephew of the original. Yeah, I think it was Count on the Mystery. I think, well, you had that. But aside from that, there is like nothing else for that one. Now, is there any like trade paperbacks for these characters? Not really, no. Yeah. But now moving on to a different book, we have Extreme Carnage. Yes, another title basically where Carnage basically it's a crossover in a way. Except here's the thing. It's a series of one-shots. My only guess is the reason why Marvel did this because Annihilation Scourge probably was a hit for them. So, and also because Absolute Carnage and King of Black was big, huge hits for Marvel Comics. So, why not? This book kind of is a follow-up to both of them. Yes. This book also returned of the character Dr. Stevie, a character who Mike Costa created for his run for Venom. Yeah, he pops up here for one more time throughout this event. After this, Dr. Stevie is never seen again. Not really sure why this character never pops up again. You might be thinking, Carnage. Is it Cletus Cassidy? Nope, he's still dead. They do mention he's in the hive mind of Carnage, but Cletus Cassidy, yeah, his body's dead. His body's been dead for like 3 years now. Yep. Now, this basically is a series of one-shots. You have Alpha Omega, which obviously we have all these things for this. And we have also, basically all the rest of ones are actual symbiotes. A couple of them basically have had their own series. The other ones basically never had ones. Basically, here are your one-shots. Alpha, Scream, Plague, Rot, Lasher, Agony, Toxin, and Omega. Various writers, just like more than one writer writes this. And you're thinking like, and by the way, none of these writers are Don Nicolas. Though one of these writers does write a one-shot who actually he does have history with. Now, Alpha, that is done by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who also does the Omega one-shot. Scream is done by Clay McCain Chapman, who actually wrote the very brief Scream ongoing series. And I think we also have Planet of the Symbiotes tie-in for King of Black. We have Plague by Steve Orlando. Lasher, Clay McCann Chapman. Rot, Alyssa Wong. Toxin, Steve Orlando. Agony, Steve Wong again. and of course Omega. Also, this book basically also has it where Chris Mooneyham, he actually does the R for Scream, Lasher, and that's it. Manuel Garcia does the Alpha and Omega one-shots. Gerardo Savadao does Plague and Toxin. Frank Gobb does the Rot one-shot. He also does Agony. Now, we have Return of Scream since the Planet Symbiotes miniseries. And here's the thing. They actually have it where this is actually return of the Dark Carnage symbiote, who last appeared in Absolute Carnage. And we also have the fallout that we have from King of Black is the fact that Alchemex's guardsmen are hunting symbiotes because they're aliens. By the way, are they the main villains of the storyline? No. Believe it or not, their leader is basically the guy in charge of a group of bigots from X-Men comics. The Friends of Humanity. You're thinking, really? These guys? Weren't these guys created by Graydon Creed in the comics? Yes, except they have nothing to do with Graydon Creed, this version of them. They think that version was old news. That's according to the way Philip Kennedy Johnson writes these characters. And Carnage apparently is a senator. I'm like, what? A senator who's possessed by the Carnage symbiote? Like, I'm not sure if Philip Kennedy Johnson basically is poking fun of bad senators here. By having, let's have it where basically a senator who possibly might be corrupt is actually influenced by an alien symbiote. Yeah, and who's the heroes of the story? Agent Anti-Venom, which they mentioned, Flash, you're back. That's Dr. Stevie says this. We also have Andy, who does start as Scream in this storyline, until the symbiote is destroyed by the Alchemex Guild guardsmen. Though there's a little bit of remains of the thing. And then she's made into Silence. Yes. Yeah, she's no longer the host of the symbiote. Well, we also have this particular symbiote. Yeah, also Iron Man is in here. You're thinking, Iron Man in a Carnage event? And here's the thing. There's no Spider-Man here. And some of you might think like, really? Spider-Man's not an event that involves Carnage? Yeah. I thought that was kind of weird. As far as I can tell, there's just... Oh yeah, by the way, Andy still has her Devil Mark powers. Yeah, may not have her symbiote very much, but she does have her Devil powers. And... Now, as for the new symbiote, at one point, Andy is stabbed by Plague. Though she does get a host new symbiote, which is about to show up here. If I can kind of meet Silence. Yes, this is her new symbiote. And still is the host of symbiote. And it's just me, or has Andy aged a little bit since her last appearance? Yeah, it looks like she has. Now, the symbiote itself was made from the remains of the Scream symbiote, which, yeah, the guardsmen destroyed the symbiote. Yeah, it's pretty much mostly gone. So basically, they took what remained of that and a little bit of the Agent Anti-Venom symbiote and kind of in a way merged it to make Silence. And yeah, they pretty much shared the body. And of course, they fight the Senator. At first, basically, Andy thinks it's Scream because it's a very similar appearance to Scream, except it's Silence. Yeah. Now, the one thing that's very kind of odd about this book is the artwork inconsistency. Yes, we have to have multiple artists. Now, the Alpha One Shot, the artwork is really good. The artwork in here is by Manuel Garcia, who does a really good job here. The artwork for the Scream One Shot is done by... It's not a terrible artist per se. It's Chris Mooneyham. Which the artwork itself is pretty good. We also have an appearance by the Spider-Man Doppelganger. Who, by the way, this guy's been dead since the 90s. Yep. So, Andy, of course, now apparently It's like, oh, we got different artists where, yeah, apparently this artist does not know how to draw anti-agent anti-venom properly because, yeah, that is not a good look, basically. This is kind of a faraway shot. It's like, wow, it's like the artwork is a bit rushed here. But still really good. But, yeah, look at this. Yeah, this guy here is supposed to be Flash Thompson. And you're thinking, really? And that's the art. Now, Andy looks really good at this artwork, but man, Flash looks terrible. Half the time, you can't really tell if it is Flash. Yeah, then Toxin shows up. Yep, now he is a familiar symbiote because he actually has had his own miniseries. Well, here's the thing. He first popped up in the Carnage, Venom vs. Carnage miniseries, and eventually got his own miniseries. And here's the thing. This is the third host of Toxin. Yes, the original host was a policeman who at one point lost a symbiote. It's never really explained because it was brought up in the pages Rick Remender's Run for Venom, where somehow Crime Master bought it when he was in Las Vegas, gave it to Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock is the hostess for a little while, and then in the Carnage ongoing series, which I will hopefully get a chance to talk about the final trade for that one, hands off to some guy, and this is the current host of the Toxin symbiote. I guess they figure why not include Toxin, because here's the thing about Toxin. Toxin is the spawn of Carnage. Yes. And here's something kind of weird and interesting about this symbiote. According to what I read, this is considered to be the 1,000th symbiote ever born of all the symbiotes. The 1,000th symbiote. Like, that's interesting. Nothing much done with Toxin. Here's a close of Toxin's face. It does not look very good. Yeah, and this is the Toxin One Shot. Yes, seriously. This is the Toxin One Shot. And the artwork is not that good. Like, especially for Toxin himself, he looks bigger than he usually does. Silence, for some reason, looks... It's like half the time, like, Flash, when he's in Anti-Venom mode, he's, silhouette. It doesn't look that bad, but Andy is the most inconsistently drawn of this whole entire event. Why, you might ask? Well, because half the time they make her shorter than she actually is, or make her taller. Yeah, and then we have Senator Crane's office, or apparently Gemma, who works there. Yeah, apparently it says, oh yeah, or she's the deputy communications director, and man, this guy is a sexist. It's like, Gina, go get some coffee. It's Gemma, I'm supposed to be in the meeting. And this guy, who's a sexist pig, that you're supposed to be what you need to do. What's the point of having my assistant who fetched me the espresso? I'm not an assistant. Yeah, and of course, this guy does not remember his name. And of course, then we cut to, have her have a vision of the King in Black event. Yep. Yeah, then of course she gets her own symbiote named Agatha. Agony, I think it is. Yep. Yeah. They, of course, deal with the senator by the very end. Apparently, it's Arthur is Carnage. No, it's not Cleus Cassidy. He's still dead. And then we have the return of the Sleeper. Yes, first time he's popped up since King in Black. Yep. Oh, yeah, he apparently has also killed the host of Rot. Okay. So Carnage goes freaking nuts. Of course, they kill the senator and his son. They fight Carnage. Iron Man shows up, basically kicks just to wipe the floor with Carnage. Yes, Iron Man. Why the heck would they throw an Iron Man in an event involving symbiotes? Don't know. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, or Hank, basically, who's the host of the Sleeper symbiote, who is an offspring of Venom. So Andy goes off, possibly goes out with Carnage, goes out with the Flash. And Dr. Steve looks at some remains of some more symbiotes. So they kind of agree to work together. And then, of course, Gemma basically, now he remembers his name, used agony on the senator's son, and that's it. Good event. The problem with this event is there's some really bad artwork in this whole event. Yeah, some of the issues, but I think the worst one is the Toxin tie-in. Yeah, that has the worst artwork. Great writing. Don't know why they couldn't keep the same artist for all these one-shots. Yeah, I don't know why for that. I do agree, basically, with keeping Scream, where it's the same guy who wrote the ongoing series, the very brief ongoing series for Scream. Which, yeah, it's kind of weird, though. I'll give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Damn good book. I love Extreme Carnage. And here's the weird thing about this event. I think that throwing in Iron Man was kind of weird. But they probably had thrown him in because it's a follow-up from a plot thread from King in Black. I'm like, okay. I'm like, if you have all these symbiotes here, where the heck is Spider-Man in all of this? That's a really good question. Like, why doesn't Spider-Man help out? Or the Avengers? Like, why is it just Flash Thompson, Andy, Toxin, and Sleeper? I'm like, okay, not really sure why the heck this is. Yeah, I think Flash Thompson, that's a really good idea. I like the fact we use Flash Thompson as a starring character. It's probably the first time he's been a star of anything since his last ongoing series ended, and when he was Venom. I don't know if they're going to do a follow up to this one. I don't think they're going. I would think they would do an ongoing series with Anti-Venom. I mean, be a good idea. Flash Thompson is a pretty good character, and I like the fact we also bring up the fact that Dr. Steven had no idea that Flash Thompson is even alive. Like, that's been surprising. And I have looked it up. Apparently, Dr. Steven himself has not appeared since the event wrapped up. Yeah, he hasn't, and neither has any of the characters from this event. Yeah, as far as I can tell, there's no real reason why the fact that nobody has popped up since this event wrapped up. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting the fact that they never really did anything with this. Like, maybe it might be something more, but who knows? Let's see. Yeah, the Extreme Carnage Omega One Shot is the most recent appearance of Flash Thompson. In the case of Andy, probably also the same thing. Yeah, I think for her it's also the same thing as well, where, like, yeah, this book was also the most recent book for her. Oh, the guy's name is Bren Walters. That's who's the current host of the Toxin. I thought he was the third host. No, I think he might be the fourth. Remember there was one. Let's see. I know the original host is dead. Yeah, apparently got killed off by Rooker Mender. Yeah. Now, the final one shot came out just back in September of last year. So there's a still strong possibility they could bring back the characters. It's possible to say at least. Yeah, it all depends. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be tomorrow. Yes, I don't have time to do the videos now, so I'll do it tomorrow. Basically, my 3 main anime: Shaman King, Boruto, and Attack on Titan. Okay? See you in the next video. Bye.